Hey, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Bird Brain 66 with your host, Brian Bretch. And over on to my right, we finally got this figured out. It's Andy Teague. Andy, how's it going?
Going great. I'm glad you finally figured out where I belong or where I'm at, in cyberspace or whatever you want to call this.
Yeah, after what? This is our 20 something episode, and we finally
Yes.
figured it out. So that shows you how technically savvy Andy and I are. So, Andy, tell everybody what we're going to be talking about today. What's set?
The 1988 score set, 660 cards in the initial run. It was the launch of Score, one of the major card companies back in the late 80s that come out, and again, like some of the other ones, they lasted for about 10 years, and then that was the end of Score. But great sets, a lot of cool colors they had in the sets, and probably not a lot of favorite by a lot of people just because of the card stock and the colors. I think a lot of people probably like the football cards more than they did the baseball cards back in those days, and probably still to this day, it's probably still the same as well. That, but I still like it. Really cool set, and I had a lot of good action shots and unusual action shots that you didn't see on other card brands. So that's one thing I did like about it.
Yeah, I like this particular one, and then we can talk about some stuff here. But look at this really cool one of Tony Pena, if I can get it to where it's not the glare. I've always been confused by this photo with the catcher's mask up here. Well, it's actually not the catcher's mask because Tony's got all of his gear on with the play at the plate and the high throw to home. It's actually the umpire taking his mask off so he can see the play at the plate. But when you first look at it, it looks like he's actually throwing his mask, and I'm thinking, what a great action shot. And then you look at it, like, well, no, heck, he's still got it on. So it's not.
So one of my very favorites out of here is actually Tommy Herr's card. He's in flying in midair, making the double play right there. So great picture, great photo, great photography in these.
Yeah, and the guy at second base trying to take him out with his arm in the air, trying to
I didn't even see who that was. Do you know who that?
I have the card pulled. Hold on one second here. I actually don't recognize who it is. It's somebody, obviously it says Giants on the front. I'm wondering, that would be something that Will Clark would probably do.
Right. That's why I was immediately I thought of Will Clark. So when I saw the photo, but it's so small, I'm not going to put my glasses on right now to find that out.
Yeah, I had to look up above my glasses to see, and I couldn't. It looks like it's Will Clark. But you kicked everything off by saying that folks probably would have liked the football cards instead of the baseball ones. Is it? What do you think? Is it just because of the different colors on the borders? So we've got orange, we've got
I don't think
purple, or what you're
more probably player selection back in that time frame than probably the cards itself, because in '89, that's when you had Griffey and Randy Johnson and guys like that come up, and Biggio and those guys came up in the next year. So I think that was probably the more popular score set probably back in that time frame. And I think in '88, you're probably looking, I don't know, I can't even remember football wise, probably Troy Aikman or some of those guys, as far as their rookie cards are concerned. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Don't quote me on that, but I think, guys like that back in the day.
Anybody in particular stand out to you? I love the Pags card there.
Oh yeah, his rookie card and the rookie score card. So yeah, I love that. Now, as we see, we get a Reds player in the picture as well. So I like the fact that they have other people in the pictures as well. So it's not just cropped off to where you can't see what's actually going on. I thought the Jack Clark card was kind of unusual because they cut him in half.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. Obviously, it looks like he's got a home run swing there. So maybe it was just that they wanted to get a good close up, or maybe that's a swinging strike, and the lower part of his body is contorted in such a way that it just looked better to.
Well, it makes the bat look like it's just huge in the picture. So it's very very unusual.
Yeah. One thing we didn't mention though is if you add the traded and the rookies in the entire set, we're close to 32, 33. I can't remember off the top of my head how many of them is. I think it's 32. And one of them that you and I were talking about at the very beginning is this particular card right here, number 650, with Don Mattingly and with Jack Clark as the all stars in this particular photo. I love that card. Since we only collect Cardinals, I don't have any Don Mattingly cards supposedly. Well, yes, I do, because they're together on that card. So again, you and I have talked about this before. I love those combo cards where you get another player from another team or multiple Cardinals on that. And ironically, was it after the 87 season or was it after the 88 season when Clark ended up signing as a free agent with the Yankees?
Oh man, I'm trying to remember. I think he did go to the Yankees after that season, if I remember.
Yeah, I think after the 87 World Series, they didn't renew his contract, and I think he signed a big deal with the Yankees. So I guess in Jack's in his role, I guess he would have been a DH, because he certainly wouldn't have moved the great Don Mattingly from first base. So anyway, no, there's just lots of really cool cards.
Give a shout out to Ricky Horton here. His very intense in motion there. So I wanted to throw that out there.
Another, different background with the green. Another thing that I really do like about this is they took the time, to have a nice head and shoulders shot of the players, and they got a good bio. It's easy to read, and then there's just an absolute ton of information about each player. That's what's right down here. I love how they took the time to do that. That's not not an easy thing to do. We've seen some of these cards over the years take shortcuts on bios, but I really
and especially back in those days, because computers were kind of not at the forefront like they are now as far as gathering information. So that probably took a lot of work. I mean, you got to put on a pair of glasses to read the back of that, because there's so much information on there. And here's a common sight from 85 on through the end of the 80s is watching Vince Coleman take a bag. So great action shot of Vince there. And there's another one on the highlights.
Yeah, great one there. Where at first it's his, it's his same approach as he's stealing, going from first to second, but it's definitely not the same. At first, it looks like it's the same card, but or the same photo on a different card. But he's got his gloves here in this one, his batting gloves, and then you can actually see the first baseman, and actually you can see the pitcher's leg on there, which is pretty cool. So love that.
Bob Forsch, always loved any card with Forsch on it. So great action shot of Forsch there.
Yeah, and you nailed it too. I mean, there are really some great action shots of players. Here's a photo of or a card of Joe McGrain that was actually from spring training with a spring training uniform on. But I bring this up because the other day I was looking for something that I didn't have of Joe, and the person who was selling it had him listed as Joe Migraine. And I know for Whitey Herzog and several others that Joe could be a migraine headache for many of his teammates and as well as his manager, because he was such an aloof personality. I mean, an intelligent guy, and I don't mean that he was not knocking him for that, but just had a different way of thinking. And of course, got really another good action shot.
Yeah.
Obviously, getting the base.
Yeah, and you can actually see the ball in the photo too. Did you notice that?
Yeah, right before the bat. Yep, I can see that.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this is a lot of times you see repetitive photos in a lot of the different companies, and this Score did a fabulous job of getting their own photographs and making their own mark on these cards with all the cool action shots that they had. So
there's a cool action shot.
Oh yeah, it's Tudor. Yep.
And so the interesting thing about John, as I was looking at his stats, coming up through through Pawtucket, through the Red Sox organization, he really did not take off as a pitcher until about 1987. His numbers are just 14 wins and 85 for the Cardinals. I know that this is wrong. This is probably a typo. It says he was 14-21. He was probably 14-12. So that should be an error card. But then in 86, he was 3-13. And then this is wrong because it says in 87 that he was 0-10. So I'm not 100% sure what's going on with the stats of.
Well, maybe so therein lies the problem. So somebody was just typing a bunch of garbage and throwing it on the back of the cards then.
Yeah, they were taking so much time writing about the bio that they were there was a person with even worse eyesight keying in all the wins and losses. It kind of takes us back to the Barry Bonds card that you have that has him as the all-time.
Oh, Bobby Bonds with the
Bobby Bonds. Yes, I'm sorry, Bobby Bonds.
where he's the all-time home run leader, the 81 Donruss, and where he has more home runs than he has RBIs. Yeah, that's a fabulous card. That's a must-have.
Yeah, and then remember we noticed that he also led the league with the most career triples because they got the triples and the doubles
right.
flip-flopped. And when they made the correction on the home runs and the RBIs, nobody caught the mistake with the doubles and the triples. So that cracks me up. But I like the cards a lot. I like the color, and like you mentioned at the beginning, the action is incredible. I've always, you can tell the story, Andy. Here, I'm going to get a better look at this. We've told it before, but it never gets old because we were together when it happened. But here's the Brunansky card.
We were actually at the game the night that her and Brunansky were traded for each other, and found out during the middle of the game that the transaction had actually taken place.
Yeah, you would.
Fans were taken by surprise.
Yeah, I can't remember. You got up. I was sitting, and I guess you went somewhere and you heard it on the, probably the PA. You were listening to the game on KMOX, either, through a transistor radio or whatever, because we did that a lot.
Well, good point, because I was just going to bring that up, because you would have probably found almost, I don't know, probably 15, 20,000 fans with a handheld AM transistor radio in their hand, listening to Buck and Shannon call the game, while you're actually in person watching the game, and that came across the airwaves during the course of the game. So I believe, if I remember correctly, I just picked that up from somebody that was listening to their transistor radio because they were in shock that Tommy Herr was actually traded. And it's a trade that Brunansky never wanted. So, his time was short-lived in St. Louis and not one of his favorite moments. And we did hate to lose Herr. So it hurt to lose Herr.
Yeah. Although he was really.
It's like a bad song.
Yeah. But he was really a him, not a her. But
that's true.
Yeah. But I mean, what was crazy about that, and the transition, can't say that word, radio, you hear this, and I just remember the crowd reacting to, like, what did you just say? Like the half a dozen people who heard what you said, and then it was probably maybe 5 minutes later they announced it, through the PA system. So everybody in the stadium knew, but that was kind of like, for a while, that's why people carried their little transistor radios. I was calling it transition earlier, transistor radios, right. Because, that's how like you said, that's how you found out. So anybody who had that little radio with them heard that news before everybody else. And then you're telling the person to your right and to your left, hey, did you know that Herr got traded for Brunansky, and which was kind of, I guess that was 88 because that was after the World Series season.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, vividly remember being at that game. We may even been where we sit. It doesn't matter. I think we may have been even in the bleachers. I know we were somewhere in the outfield because I can remember just looking out over the field and going, that was just crazy to me. So do you remember what was Brunansky's beef? Because I thought he had a halfway decent career here.
And I think he didn't want to be traded at that particular time or whatever. I don't remember what it was. It's something I had read, following the trade. But
yeah, I mean, I'm sure after you win a World Series title, for the Twins in Minneapolis, you surely don't want to leave, but you're going from the World Series champion to the National League champion. So I mean, but yeah,
but the Cardinals did finish 5th in the National League East that year, and yes, I did say National League East because the Cardinals were in the National League East in 1988.
Right.
You're listening, not familiar with that. There was only 2 divisions in each league at that time, East and West. So. Everybody hated the New York Mets too, by the way.
Oh yeah, Pond Scum. John Costello traded rookie card, so
Yeah.
that was a cool one. We haven't. Did you have a? I didn't pull him, but do you have a Pendleton or an Ozzy card there?
I do. I didn't really, because to be honest, those were probably the two cards that they were actually stationary at their position. If you take a look at Terry,
Hmm.
he's awaiting, some of the action there, and the same with Ozzy. Basically, this almost the same stance in his photograph. So I didn't really, I didn't pull him out, but I will certainly show Ozzy because it'd be
Yeah,
not to have Ozzy on there because all time one of our all time greats, one of all time favorites, during that time frame and of all time with the Cardinals. So yeah, just that's funny though, especially Ozzy, because you could have there's a ton of action shots they could have used with Ozzy, and but it's funny that of all the players, he's one of the guys that doesn't have an action shot. So
right.
I find that kind of humorous. So yeah.
Diving and one other thing too. This is kind of off the beat of this particular set from the '88 score, but I don't recall. Do you have any cards of Ozzy doing his handspring and then going into his flip before we would before before the first Cardinal game opening season? Are there any cards like that of him out
Yes,
there?
there's actually I want to say it's a Tops on Demand Throwback Thursday from probably 3, maybe 4 years ago. There is one of him doing the backflip.
Okay.
I will have that on the next episode, but I do have that card, and I specifically got it for that reason because it has him doing the actual backflip. So
That's cool. I couldn't remember if I saw that or not, or if it's one out there that I don't have. But
yeah.
anyway, so any other memories from that '88 season for you?
Yes, it would be terrible for me not to mention Van Halen because they released their eighth studio album that year, OU 812. A lot of great tracks on there, obviously with Sammy Hagar. Everybody called it Van Hagar back in the day. And a lot of people, for whatever reason, didn't like Sammy. Some people love Sammy. So, I was a fan of both, always a fan of both versions because I thought, they each David Lee Roth and Sammy both brought something to the table as far as the music was concerned. But I think I'm going to say it right here. Sammy had the better pipes and could actually sing better, a better songwriter. That's obvious. Look at his career from Montrose on all the way on to today, still performing today and still writing songs. So,
Right.
not to diss David Lee Roth because back in the day, he was the man, the leading front man of, rock and roll. But
Everybody wanted to be David Lee. And anybody wanted someone with his charisma and what he was able to bring, stage presence, whatever. But
then they were also on the Monsters of Rock tour that year with a bunch of bands that you would never put Van Halen with normally. So very interesting tour that year. So just thought I'd throw that out there. I like a little pop culture reference once in a while, especially when you throw Van Halen in there, because that was our go-to band back in the day, along with many others, AC/DC and the likes of those. So
favorite song on that OU 812?
my favorite song?
Yeah.
Man, that's a tough call there. Man.
My dark horse on that one, and doesn't really get a lot of airplay, but I really like "Finish What You Started." Just a really
that's a
cool,
great song.
different. It's they even joked that was their attempt at country music. I remember listening to an interview with Eddie and Sam talking about that. I love it. I love back when you could watch MTV when it was music TV and actually played music videos and not some of the stuff that they do now. But I loved that, just whatever reason. I just love that song. I love the guitar that Eddie plays on it. Just
That's a good call on that song. Black and Blue. That's another good song on there. There's a lot of good ones on there. So I don't. It's hard to. That's hard to. That's another show. I have to come up with the songs from each album that are my favorite. I have to go back and listen again because I like to listen when I'm doing my cardio. So I have to figure out which one that really is. So
Definitely. Alrighty. Well, anything else that you want to add about the set before we close? I'm just looking to see if there's anybody else in here that we forgot. I'm noticing one guy as I just had my stuff set off to the side. You and I are a big fan of his, and I just love this action shot with the high leg kick. So I got to show.
Oh yeah, God, I can't believe we forgot Ty Worrell. Yeah,
just love that. I mean, look at how
phenomenal relief pitcher. Yeah. Wish we had him. I wish he could close for us now.
Yeah. I guess it was started out with really Bruce Sutter. Remember the run of just incredible closers that.
Oh yeah, Bruce Sutter, Lee Smith, Worrell. I mean, it just went on, and just. And even Adam Wainwright, for those who don't remember the 2006 season, he really saved the Cardinals' rear end when Isringhausen was having some trouble. So,
yeah.
But if I remember correctly, he only actually had 3 saves, but he had very memorable moments especially the Beltran strikeout. That's probably the most famous from that year that I can think.
Yeah, and you know what though, I don't think it was Izzy. I think it was either Ryan Franklin or Jason Mott. I think Izzy was already out of the picture by then, if I remember right.
Was he? I thought he had an arm injury, and or something, and that's why Wainwright. I have to go back and look.
Yeah, I'm maybe going. Yeah, I don't know. The closers start running together when they're with the injuries during that time frame. But the point was not who's right or wrong on this, but it was that yes, Waino was incredible as a closer. For those folks who don't remember, he had the Beltron, and then he also gets the last out in the 06 World Series. So that was cool too. So
yep.
Anyway, should I put you on the spot and make you close, or do you want me to?
Yeah, well, you can find us at Bird Brains 66 on the YouTube channel here that you're watching right now, on Facebook and also Twitter. So at Bird Brains 66, as the kids like to say.
Yes, as the kids like to say that.
I'm getting it down.
Yeah, that's our Twitter handle, our Facebook page, and you're going to hear me talk about this all the time, and then I'll shut up so we can say goodbye. But the banter back and forth on Twitter these days, everybody who's not following us on Twitter but following us here on YouTube, you're missing it. We're getting a lot of former players and just great banter from just fans of the page itself. So hopefully you'll consider following us at Bird.
Yeah, I'll have to get on the Twitter myself. I'll have to see if my flip phone can get on that thing. Just kidding. I don't have a flip phone.
Very cool. All right, everybody. Well, he's Andy Teague over there on the right. We do know that now. I'm Brian Bretsch over here on the left side. Thank you for joining this episode of Bird Brain 66.
Peace. Thanks.